good day, everybody. My name is Gary Kulik. Welcome to today's Radius Masterclass. Joining me today is CREtelligent Product Director Travis Hickey. You might say Travis is the man behind the curtain as he built Radius from its infancy to its current state. We're really excited to be hosting this first Radius Masterclass, and we'll be hosting more of these in the future. Today's session will be about 25 minutes long. The goal of these is really threefold. It's to help increase user proficiency, provide an awareness of new features that may have come out, and also ensure that your firm is getting the maximum value from the Radius platform. You know, in our NPS survey to clients, we've heard from many Radius users how easy and user-friendly it is to use. And we get excited about that because it is core to our vision of providing innovative due diligence solutions. Today, Travis is going to show you some of those innovations and share the basic features of Radius. And in future sessions, as I mentioned, we'll dive deeper into more advanced features. If you have any comments, suggestions, or questions, we love your feedback and we'd love to hear them. You can drop them in the Q&A on your Zoom toolbar, which is on the lower portion of your screen. And we'll address those either here today or one-off follow-up after the session. And so I think with that, Travis, I'll throw it over to you and we can jump in.
Thank you so much, Gary. It's great to finally get on this webinar and help folks get to know the Radius platform a bit better. Some folks on the call will have never used Radius before, and others may be quite familiar with it. So I'm going to try to speak to both audiences equally. But today's session, we will be sticking with some of the more commonly used Radius features and functions. And as Gary said, second and third sessions that'll come in the months to follow, we'll get deep on some of those advanced features, advanced functionality that will help you accelerate your workflows beyond just what we learned today. But as I said, the goal today is to get you up and running quickly and to give you hopefully a few tidbits about Radius, maybe that you didn't know, even if you've been using it for a while. So just to cover on what we're hoping to cover today in the topics, we'll start with just a bit of navigation. How you find your way around the Radius dashboard. Where do I find my saved properties? Where do I see the product catalog? How do I search for a property? Those kinds of questions. Starting your property search, we'll actually do a demonstration of doing a property search using an address, viewing some of the details of that property in the navigator, and then ordering products and services and receiving those products and services after they've been completed. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start this demo up here, and I'll switch over to my Radius screen. Now, if you haven't yet received your Radius onboarding email, definitely talk to your administrator or your customer service rep about that, and they can get you that email right away. But once you receive that email, you click the link. It'll take you to the Radius webpage and ask you to set a password. And once you've set that password, you can sign in. And after you've signed in, we're really proud of the fact that you can start working immediately. There's no screens in between you and actually looking for properties that are important to you, viewing your saved properties, placing things on order, viewing those order statuses. But most commonly, folks, when they log in, will either be looking for a property that they've saved previously, and you can see those saved properties over here on the left-hand side. And you'll see that there's an address, which is the address that that is associated with the property. But there's also, in some cases, this kind of friendly term here, and this is a project name. So the project name is just displayed here as well, because you may know this property more commonly as the Coloma Office Park or the Shira Complex, rather than by address. So as we save properties, those properties will appear over here on the left. And since we're talking about saving properties, let's go ahead and talk about searching for a property. And I have there's a variety of ways that you can search for and or find a property. Obviously, if you have an address, that is the easiest and quickest way to get there. If you don't have an address, you can do a search by parcel ID or APN. You can also look it up by latitude and longitude. Or if you have none of that and all you know is where this property is on a map, perhaps it doesn't even have an address, you can turn on our parcel selection tool here in the bottom left-hand side, and that will turn on a set of parcel lines throughout the application map. And you can easily select which property you want to save with your mouse. But for today, and there's some pretty cool features with the parcel select. We will save that for our second session. In this session, we just want to stick with doing a search by address. So you'll notice as I start to type in the address, the Google autocomplete will help us out a bit here, because we don't want you to have to type the whole address out. So I'm looking for 4903 Forest, oops, if I could spell, Forest Drive, and Columbia, South Carolina. There it is. So I'll go ahead and select that from the list. You can see that the map now orients over the top of that property in Columbia. And we also have some content over here now on the left. This content is from the county, so we can see who the current owner is, what county this particular property is in, what kind of land use this particular property is classified as well as some lot size and building size. This information is really intended to help you verify that the property that we've matched you up with is the property that you're in fact looking for. There's a couple other things that you can do to help ensure that you're looking at the right property, including this pegman. If you drag the pegman over here from over here on the left over to your property, what happens is a street view of the property pops up. So now you can take a quick look at the storefront to ensure that you indeed have the right property selected. So this looks like the right property, 4903 Forest Drive. So what I'm going to do is down here in the bottom left, it's asking, hey, do you want to save this property? And you bet I do. I'm going to go ahead and click save, and this will save the property to the Radius platform so that I don't have to do that search again in the future. If I have, as I was saying, a common name that's a little bit more friendly that I want to use to remember or to find this particular property by, I can add it right now. So I'm just going to call this my property in Columbia. And if I have a loan number or some other reference ID that's important to me, I can also add that right here. I'll just drop some numbers in there so that we can see that. Those property attributes that we were looking at before are still available here inside of the saved property. So if I need to re-reference, who is the owner on this? What was the building count? All of those property attributes are available right here. And we also have a nice place to store your documents. So if you have a document that's important, to your workflow, you can store that document right here in the Radius platform, and we'll hold on to it for you. One other thing happened here. As soon as we saved that property, our product catalog appeared over here on the right. Because now we have a saved property, and the next thing that we would logically do is start looking for products or services that we want to order for this property. So if I collapse the environmental for a moment, you'll see that we've organized our product catalog by these categories: environmental, condition or resilience, land services, and valuation. We also have something called package services, which is a way for us to package up services from several different categories so that you don't have to order each one individually. So for example, the package 3 is our phase 1, our property condition assessment, our ALTA survey, and our zoning report, which you can order with one click. If I crack open one of these other categories like environmental, you can see that there's 3 different types of reports listed in here. We've got instant reports, desktop reports, and site assessments. Now, what's the difference? An instant report is exactly what it sounds like. It's typically a report that is available immediately, generally in less than 20 or 30 seconds. And since we've got time, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Enviro pre-screen and place that order right now so that we can see it. Once I click place order, the product appears over here under the orders section, and you can see that it's in progress. And in a few seconds, it'll switch to completed. That's what happens with the instant reports. Desktop reports are similar, except they're not instant like our instant reports. Instead, what we do is run some data and analytics, and we then put it in front of one of our environmental professionals for this environmental category. So Enviro Prescreen Pro Insight is a perfect example of that, where we take our Enviro Prescreen Advanced product and we put it in front of an environmental professional, and they spend time reviewing the details of that report and providing some opinionation, some recommendation to you in the form of a narrative that will help you make a next decision. We also offer more common products like the RSRA or like our phase one. So while I was talking there, we can see that the Enviro Prescreen returned. Once it returns, you have a couple of options. You can either email the report to yourself, just to save you some clicks from downloading and moving it around on your desktop, or you can download it and view it in your favorite PDF viewer on your desktop. Or if you just want to take a peek at it, you can click the eyeball, and that is the embedded PDF viewer inside of Radius. And if we take a quick look at this property, we can see that it does have some elevated concern. And now, if you're not familiar with Enviro Prescreen, basically this product goes out to several different environmental databases and collects listings or points of interest relative to this property and the properties within 1/8 of a mile of that property. In this case, it looks like the subject property has something going on because it's an elevated risk rating. Now, if I scroll down, I can read more about that elevated risk rating by way of these points of interest. But if I determine that, this seems pretty sketchy, I'm not sure about this property, I think what I need to do is order a phase one or an RSRA. We can easily do that. We can get somebody out there, to take a look at this property and give a better assessment than what you can hope to get out of an automated data product. So let's go ahead and place a phase one on order and see what that looks like. One interesting thing to note about our phase one, this is typically a quoted product out in the industry. Usually we'll place a request for a phase one with a provider, and they'll come back to you a few hours later with a quote. Sounds great, except we thought we could do that a little bit better. So we take the property information that we already know, along with our contractor network coverage, and we can come up with what we call a click quote, which is really an instant quote for your phase one. And if I click request quote, in just a beat, it comes back with a price and a estimated delivery date if I were to order this now. So if I'm ready to order it now, all I have to do is click place order. I do have to add some additional site contact information. Oops. Just so we know who to reach out to get access to the property. If I have other contacts that I want to apply or to associate with this particular order, I can do so right here. I can also ask, the site visitor for particular or give them particular instructions on how to access the property or details about the concern, or I can attach some supporting documentation that may be relevant to the site assessor. But other than that, we're ready to go. I can either place the order, I can save the quote for later if I'm waiting for some more bids to come back from other providers. Just save the quote, compare them with ours, and if you're happy with ours, then you can come back in here and click place order. And now your phase one is in progress. So we've got some people already jumping on that to get the phase one taken care of as quickly as possible. So a few other things. If I'm done for now with this property in Columbia, I can click back up here at the top left, and that'll take me back to my properties list. And you'll see Forest Drive is now is up here at the top of the list. And that's primarily because it's the last property that I looked at. And anytime you're using Radius, you'll realize that the last property that I did something with kind of bubbles to the top. And that's just to keep the most relevant properties sort of up at the top of your list.
Hey, Travis, if I could interject just a second, we did have a question that came in very early on that asked about whether the property is saved. And I think certainly this addresses that. I think you're going there eventually, but I just wanted to, one, give you a breather for a second, and two, just I think we've answered the person's inquiry. If not, hit me up again on the Q&A. Thanks.
You bet. Yeah, we definitely save all the properties that you search for. All you have to do is click the save button, and it'll appear here on the left. And we'll keep those properties saved on the platform for as long as you need them. So if you happen to own the property and you may want to order due diligence, 6 months or 6 years from now, you can come back to the platform and you can find your saved property in this list, and you can immediately start placing orders for that property. A couple of quick things to note. You'll notice that there's this little green arrow next to each of these properties, but this one has a little ring around it. The little ring is our way of saying, hey, something happened here, or a product has completed processing and is ready for your view. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one to see what happened. And it looks like we had this product is the most recently ordered product, and I can tell that because it's at the top of the list. So it looks like this product recently came back and is ready for me to view. And this is our early insights product, which is one of those packaged products where we bring lots of data and analytics together into a single product. And so I can easily click the view report and get a look at that property a look at that product and all the details that come along with it. I won't dive too much into those product details. But just know that from here, again, you can email yourself the report. You can download it to your desktop, or as we just demonstrated, you can view it from right here within the platform.
If we had another quick question, very relevant, very timely. Is there another notification process besides that little indicator to let me know a project has been completed?
Absolutely.
An email.
Yeah, and you will get an email. Absolutely, that's a great point. Obviously, if I had my way, you would live and breathe inside of the Radius platform. But I'm sure you've got other more important things to do. And so if you log off of Radius, while the report is processing, when you come back to your desktop, you should have an email that lets you know that your report has finished processing and is ready for download. And in many cases, that email will come along with a link where you can download the product without even coming back to the Radius platform. So a little bit of a convenience there so that you don't have to jump through any hoops to get to your product results. Few other things about just the Radius platform in general. We have this chat feature over here in the bottom right. And this is partially an automated chat feature, but it's also a portal to your customer service representative. So if you just have a quick question, like for example, if you're asking yourself, as a part of this call, like what is an EPS? You can ask that question, what is EPS? And it'll return with an article that explains exactly what EPS is and what you can use it for. If that's not enough information, or if your question is a little bit more specific, you can easily turn this into a live chat with one of our customer service representatives, and they'll help you get through whatever questions that you might have related to either products or services that you're placing on order in Radius, or any kind of Radius questions that you might have as well. A couple other things really quickly. We have lots of products and services that are available outside of our environmental line. For example, in our condition/resilience line, we have some automated reports that tell you about the property condition and its maintenance history. You can obviously get some flood certifications, carbon footprint pre-screens for those folks that are interested in an ESG type of report, as well as our climate check. But the flagship, I would say, for the condition resilience category is going to be our property condition assessment. Again, this is another site assessment product where we send somebody out, boots on the ground, to do a full ASTM property condition assessment. And we offer the click quote for your PCA so that you can get an immediate quote rather than waiting a few hours for somebody to calculate one for you. Some other categories here are land services. And this is where you would look for, your Alta land surveys or zoning reports, so you can know a little bit more about the use of your property and what it's classified for, or zoned for, I should say. And then we have a variety of valuation products, including an instant report called Commercial AVM that provides you an unbiased opinion of value based on objective data and analytics built by one of our partner affiliates. You can also order a commercial appraisal, a broker price opinion, or a residential or commercial evaluation in this valuation category. If my description is not good enough of any of these products or services, you'll notice that there's a little I next to each one. And if you click on the I, it will open up our webpage to a more elaborate description of what that product or service is intended to do and the features within it. And you can also download some samples if you're interested in seeing what that product actually looks like, just to get a better sense of how you might use it in your workflow. Coming back to Radius, we'll finish with this property navigator here. Let's say, for example, that this property I'm very interested in, and I want to keep it at the top of my saved properties list. I can do that very easily with this bookmark feature. All I got to do is just click bookmark property. And now the property is bookmarked at the top of my saved properties list. And I can add as many bookmarks as I like. As I interact with other properties, those will appear in this today section, with the most recent one that I've interacted with being at the top. If, for example, I decide against doing anything further with this Forest Drive property, and I don't want to see it anymore in my saved properties list, and actually this is a bad example because I got a phase 1 in progress, and so I wouldn't want to archive that. But I can easily archive this property and see I've got to order a proposal in progress, right? So let me go ahead and decline this. And now I should be able to archive it. Yes, I want to archive it. And now Cobble Rock will no longer be in my list. If I do that on accident, or if I change my mind later on, I can easily find that property back here in our archived properties list. And you can find that under the team saved properties. And since I'm sitting here looking at team saved properties, you might be asking yourself, well, what is a team saved property? Radius can be used by one person in a team, or it can be used by a whole bunch of people in an organization. And if you want to have access to not only your own saved properties, but to saved properties that your team have put into the platform, this is the place to do that. You can click on this and see all the properties that your organization has saved. And you can easily dive into any one of those properties and see what's in progress, or what product results may have come back. If you've got somebody, for example, absent from your office and you need to make progress on a particular effort. Okay, so I think that covers most of what I wanted to touch on. As I said, we will have a couple more sessions in the months that follow, and we'll get into some of those advanced tools and features. In the next session, I think we'll talk a lot about selecting parcels, drawing polygons around parcels, and some other more advanced search techniques. And then our last session, I think we'll be diving deep into our portfolio functionality. And portfolio is a unique and exciting place where you can manage your portfolio and get risk alerts over the course of your ownership of a property, for example.
Travis, that's perfect introduction to a future session. That was one of the questions that came in. Somebody was savvy enough to point out the portfolio monitoring tab at the top there, and so thanks for covering that one.
You betcha. You betcha.
That'll be in a future session.
Gary, that's all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to you. And
great. Thank you. Very thorough, Travis. Appreciate it very much. Thanks. And with that, again, thanks, Travis, for hosting our first Radius Masterclass, right? And thank you all for attending. I hope you're able to glean some insight into the Radius platform and maybe learn a couple of tips and tricks maybe. But again, be watching for future classes where we'll dive into to more Radius's functionality. And we also have a lot of stuff on the roadmap too. And I think maybe in a future session further down the road, maybe we'll share some of that roadmap for you all too. And just the same, if you have input into the roadmap that you'd like to toss over our way, maybe there's some things you'd like to see, whether it be automation or whether it may be actual products, we'd love to hear from you. So again, you can do that. Trav, I think you have the call to action slide up. You can do that by reaching out to Travis, reaching out to your CREtelligent representative, but we really value your input. So again, with that, thank you all. And I think we'll go close out today's session. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.